Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavasi Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Dayakaram Dayakaram, Dantam Dharma Pravartakam, Pranamami Dayanandam, Madhacharya Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vedo Nityamadhiyatam Tadudidam Karma Swanushtiyata Tene Shasya Vidhiyata Apachiti Kamye Matistyakshata Papauka Paridhuyata Bhavasukhe Doshonusandhiyata Atme Cha Vyavasiyata Nijagrahat Tonam Vinirgamyata Sangasatsu Vidhiyata Bhagavato Bhaktirdridadiyata Shantyantif Parichiyata Dridataram Karmashu Santyachyata Satvidvanupasripyata Pratidinam Tatpaduka Sevyatam Brahmekaksharamatyatam Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakaryatam Vakyarthascha Vicharyatam Shruti Shira Pakshasamaashriyatam Dustarkat suviramvyatam Shruti-matas tarkonusandhiyatam Brahmevasmi vibhavyatam Maharahat garva parityajyatam Deheham matirujyatam Buddha-janairvadah parityajyatam Kshudvyadishcha chikitsyataam pratidinam vikshaushadham pujyatam Swadvannam natu yachyatam vidivashat praptena santushyatam Shitoshnadi vishakyatam natu pritha vakyam samucharyatam Audasinyamadhipsyata janakripa naishthuryamutsrityata Ekante sukhamasyata paratare chetas samadhiyata Purnatma susamikshata jagadidam tadbhaditam trishyata Prakarma pravilapyata chitibalan napyuttare slishyata Prarabdham tviha bhujyatam atha para brahmatmanastiyata Prarabdham tviha bhujyatam atha para brahmatmanastiyata So yes, we had seen the 8th step of Shankara's 40 steps to spiritual success. Blueprint to spiritual success. And the last step, I think, had frightened a lot of you because I had some questions from people. So to dispel all fears, I just wanted to readdress that Vinir Gamyatam. So literally, it does mean walk out of house and home. That is the literal meaning in Sanskrit. So today we have to understand it in this context. In those days, uh, moksha was very clear for people. So even in the Vedic times, although Shankara is not in Vedic times, Vedika times, he was reviving that. People were ready to leave house and home for the sake of this study, for the sake of the spiritual pursuit. In this modern day and age, we find that people are not that prepared. So we have to adapt the understanding for today's day and age. We cannot leave house and home like that. And plus, society also does not support everything. So what he is trying to say is that I reduce my attachment to the house and home, to all the people who are close to me, to properties, all of this, especially people, Anabhishwangaha. We saw this, even Krishna brings as a value in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says, Anabhishwangaha putra dhara grihadishu. So it is something to be practiced. It's developing a healthy relationship with everything in my life, with people in my life. It is not destroying the relationship. It is not leaving the relationship. It is developing healthy relationship. What is a healthy relationship? It is understanding like yatha kashtan chakashtan cha samayetam mahodadau. We come together like two logs in the ocean. All relationships are like that. We are brought together. Samayeta cha vyapeyatam. Samayeta cha vyapeyatam tatvat bhuta samagamaha. So I will come together with people for a length of time. We travel the journey together for some time. But what happens? The currents of the waters will part us sometime or other. That is a fact of life. We are all coming together and we part also. This is a fact that has to be assimilated. So everybody, even we can liken it to understanding on a train journey. We all get on at different stops. We sit together in the compartment. We enjoy company, and each one gets off at their respective stops. So life is like that, and I have a healthy relationship towards people and things around me. This is Anabhishwangaha. What Shankaracharya would mean in today's day and age is reduce too much emotional dependence on people close to you. When you are interested in spiritual success, start seeing that you're, connecting more to Bhagavan. Next value is coming up there. We reduce more and more connection with even the closest. Once they are at a certain age as well, my focus should be my own spiritual development. It sounds very selfish, but ultimately, moksha icha, atmecha, this mumukshutvam is to make me selfless ultimately. So initially, it seems like a selfish pursuit, but that selfishness is to ultimately make me selfless. Otherwise, there's no way of being selfless. I will always demand something in return from the world for what I give. So actually, it's an investment, as I said. All a spiritual life is a future investment. So including this. So I just wanted to put people's mind at rest. You need what is being said is that you need mental leisure. So if some people I know, they're always on WhatsApp with their children in the US or something. So the child will say, I'm stepping out of the door, I'm leaving the college now, I'm going to this lecture now, I'm doing totally always 100 percent connected every 5 minutes. That is not healthy. Those days, I mean, even few 20 years back, we didn't have WhatsApp and this, right? So this type of heavy investment in each other's lives, spiritual life here is not healthy. So reduce. when it's necessary, we have that connection. When it's needed, we have it. So once we have lessened the connection, he brings in the next step. That means I'm not just, how do you say, oarless, or OAR, or to steer the boat. I don't become oarless and don't have any support system because I've reduced with, those people near and dear. Then he says, Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. May you associate with good people, with people given to the same value system as yourself, people given to the spiritual pursuit, because right now it is a small flame, a flicker in you. But when you associate with the people who are interested in this pursuit, what happens? It becomes a big, big fire. That icha grows more and more. So we do need support system, a good support system. Anywhere we are, we have to discover it, or we have to create one of our own. You can also create a support system wherever you are as well. So devotees, people who are devotees of Ishvara, who are committed to the pursuit of knowledge, in this sense, we try and discover and we take to their company. So why is the protection of good people needed? There's a very nice story, famous story of Narada, sage Narada in the Puranas. You may have heard it. He approaches Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha and he asks Vishnu, what is the greatness of satsang? So what does Lord Vishnu say? He says, go and ask that worm, a worm on earth, go and ask that worm. So Narada approaches the worm, and what happens? As soon as he comes near the worm dies. So he's very surprised. He could not ask. So he goes back to Vaikuntha and he says to Lord Vishnu, the worm did not say anything because it died. As soon as I went near it, it died. So Lord Vishnu says, don't worry, don't worry. You go and ask that parrot there. That parrot will tell you. So he goes to this parrot that Lord Vishnu points out, and he asks the parrot, what is the greatness of satsang? Soon as the parrot hears his voice, it dies. So he's shocked, what is happening here? He goes back to Lord Vishnu and he says, this parrot could not tell me anything because it also died and collapsed. So he's getting more and more nervous. Anything he goes close dies off. So, so Lord Vishnu says, no, no, don't worry. There is a calf just about to be born. You go to that calf there. That calf will definitely tell you what, the greatness of satsang is. So he goes, he believes, of course, Lord Vishnu is his Bhagwan. So he goes to the calf. And as soon as the calf is born, it opens its eyes, it looks at the sage and it dies. So by now he is extremely fearful, extremely nervous. And he goes back to Lord Vishnu. He said, I did not get the answer from any of these creatures you told me to go and ask. He's quite depressed as well. Anything I go near, it just dies off. So Lord Vishnu said, no, no, this is finally, you will definitely get the answer you seek. There's a king, a prince, a very prince who is of a very pious and righteous family. And go and ask that prince. And he asks this time, please assure me that the prince will not die when I go near. So Lord Vishnu said, definitely the prince is not going to die if you go near him. So Narada goes near the prince and he asks the same question, what is the greatness of satsang? And this prince laughs at Narada and he says, have you not got it yet? Narada did not get it. He said, I was that worm. When you came near me, I left my body and I got a greater birth. I became the parrot. When you came near me as a parrot, I dropped my body and I got a birth as a calf. Again, when you came and I opened my eyes and saw you, I got birth as a human being. Jantunam nara janma durlabam. It is difficult to get a birth as a human being. So my association with Satpurusha such as you has given me greater and greater births. So this was this is a very light story. One of the Puranas, it's a famous story usually told. So company you keep can help you to grow, can help you to evolve, can help you to spiritually develop. Because even good company can do that. Imagine what bad company can do. So if you're with the company, because mind is like a sponge, it can absorb anything and everything. So if I'm in a room where there's a lot of smoke, like the sambrani, if they burn, that is not a good idea because sambrani is a very good thing. But if I'm in a room full of smoke, then I absorb that smell as well. Like anywhere, you absorb the surroundings. You can see here such beautiful, peaceful surroundings. You feel also inwardly peaceful. So we are like absorption, body mind sex complex absorbs everything. So good to keep in good company. In another very famous text, Adi Shankaracharya says, Sangat Satsangatve Nissangatvam. From the association with good people, the wise people, Nissangatve, you will get non-attachment to the things, not non-attachment to the world. Nissangatve Nirmohatvam. So after this non-attachment, this dispassion towards the world, what happens? Your delusion also starts receding. You get less and less deluded, less confused about what life is about. Then nirmohatve, nishchalatatvam, from this lack of delusion, your mind is able to abide because when the mind is very confused, it cannot abide anywhere. It's all over the place, distracted. So this Nischala Tattvam is that abidance of mind. It can stay and rest with the knowledge. And Nischala Tattve Jivan Muktihi, not very far. Once the mind is able to abide in this knowledge, you can become one who is free while alive. You don't need to drop your body to become free. The uniqueness of Vedanta Shastra is that it promises freedom here and now. We don't need to go anywhere. So it's very important to have good company. Seek the company of the good and people who are committed to the same pursuit. Now, the next step Adi Shankaracharya talks about, which is again, when I reduce my incidental relationships, I have to develop that fundamental relationship, increase that. The incidental relationships decreases, increasing that fundamental relationship. He says, Bhagavato Bhaktir Dridadiyata. May you cultivate a firm, committed devotion to Ishvara. Any form you can take. We have umpteen forms. Anything you can take. We have, in Sanskrit we call Ishta Devatas. So whoever you connect to, you take that form. Take that form means to worship, to recognize that there is a greater power here that is in charge of my life. Anyata sharanam nasti, tvameva sharanam mama, tasmat karunya bhavena, raksha raksha parameshwara, raksha raksha janardana. You can use any name there, but there is no refuge other than Lord. Lord is the only refuge. Lord was there when I was born, Ishvara, and all throughout my life, Ishvara is always there. When I leave this body, Ishvara will be there. When I take a new body, Ishvara will always be there. So that is the fundamental relationship, non-changing relationship. So bhakti, shraddha, there are two words. Shraddha means a commitment to, in Vedanta terms, Vedanta Vakyeshu Guru Vishwasaha, Guru Vakyeshu Vishwasaha. It's a relaxation in the words of Vedanta as they're being unfolded, in the words of the Guru being unfolded. That is Shraddha, which is also a quality needed for the spiritual life. Shraddha, bhakti is also needed. This commitment is not to only Guru, it is to Ishvara. Primarily, bhakti is relating to Ishvara. But first, I have to understand who is this Ishvara I'm relating to. Sometimes there's a very, not a correct understanding of Ishvara. We feel that he's a punishing type of superpower. If I do wrong, I will get punished. Many people have fear of Ishvara. There is nothing like that, because Ishvara is the invisible orders that pervade this universe. He is in the form of various orders. He is impartial. Impartial means that he doesn't have any favorites here. He doesn't punish. Your own karmas punish you. If you talk about punishment, it is our own papa karma, what we have done. Ishvara is mere dispenser of the karmas we have already done. So he is not punishing. And that idea of punishing God, fearing God and everything is not there in our Vedanta at all, with the understanding that he is infallible. So infallible is Ishvara. Infallible means he cannot do wrong. That order cannot go wrong. He is that very order, so he cannot go wrong in whatever is happening. So when I relate to Ishvara, how do I understand Bhagavan? He is, many traditions, religions have Ishvara, God, concept of God as an intelligent cause for this universe. Okay, so there is a location for God, and the intelligence cause. So he sits somewhere and he creates this world. Our rishis did not unfold Ishvara in that way. They do talk about the efficient or intelligent cause. That is called the nimitta upadana karanam. There is a efficient cause, intelligence behind this universe. But does he have a location? That is the thing to understand. If he has a location, does not he become limited? He will become limited by space, time. If he's in one place, can he be in another place? No. So there is no location actually for Ishvara. It is our imagination, or we give location according to the deity. We say Vishnu is in Vaikunta, we say Shiva is on Kailasa. It is, in fact, that essence of Bhagavan, the real Bhagavan is material cause as well. So this is very beautifully unfolded in Vedanta Shastra. It is called Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. He is the intelligent cause for this universe, and he is also the material cause for this universe. Material cause means what? He is all pervasive. If he's a material, he's in everything, everyone. In fact, as I said, where is he not should be the question. He is in everything. Prahalada discovers the Lord in a pillar. He is able to invoke Lord in a pillar. Why? Because of that Drida Bhakti. His vision is that material cause, Ishvara, is in everything, and because of his intense prayer, intense devotion, he was able to invoke Bhagwan in that pillar. So this understanding of Bhagwan for us is from which all things arise. Everything manifests from that Bhagwan. Everything is sustained by Ishvara, and everything resolves unto Ishvara. And these three functions we give for the Lord, we call them by different deities. Brahmaji for the one who creates, Lord Vishnu for the one who sustains, and Shiva the one who dissolves the universe. But in fact, it is only one Ishvara. So in our understanding, the total is Ishvara, and the total is in the form of various orders also in this universe. So what does it mean to have bhakti? What does it mean to have devotion? We have to understand this. Is it only just doing puja and part and prayer all the time? No, it is a committed lifestyle that goes along with it. And the commitment is to what? The commitment is to gaining Bhagavan's anugraha, his grace in life. Because Ishvara does not ask for our commitment. Sometimes people think, there are texts that say, Bhagwan is a jealous God. He will cut out everything. He wants your love only for himself. Is Bhagwan that small that he demands our love? He is the form of love himself. He is that very swarupa of prema. He won't ask for tiny little jivas prema. No, it is for our own sake that the love is given. So it manifests in this love for the divine, this love for Ishvara. How does it manifest? It manifests through all my activities in life. So karma yoga is non-separate from bhakti yoga. Swamiji always used to say, there are no four paths here: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga. Where is four paths? Bhakti is the main fuel that fuels all the paths. Without bhakti, can I have jnanam? What is the reason why we study jnanam? It is because the main reason I want to know Ishvara. What is this Ishvara? I want to understand Ishvara. I want to feel Ishvara in the life. I want to discover Ishvara. That is the reason we study. Then is Karma Yoga devoid of Ishvara? No. Ishvara is very much there in Karma Yoga. You cannot have Karma Yoga as a secular activity. Ishvara has to be brought in for Arpanam. I offer. Who do I offer to? I don't offer to my CEO. I don't offer the action, right? I offer this action to my CEO. No, it is to Bhagavan I'm doing the action. And very much I see the result coming as prasadam. So where is bhakti free from that? So bhakti is considered in the Vedānta Shastra as a means. It is a tool. That is why Shankaracharya is bringing it as a practice here. The sadhana means for the sadhya. So you can see bhakti is not sadhya, is the goal. Many traditions consider bhakti is the goal. Here we say bhakti is the means towards the goal. Developing bhakti means developing a relationship with Ishvara. And is it only for Mondays and Tuesdays or Wednesdays? When is the relationship? No, I will have devotion only from the 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning when we do puja. That's it. And maybe when I go to temple, I will be devotee. No, you're a devotee in every role you play. Swamiji used to say very beautifully, you are a mother devotee, you are a father devotee, you are a son devotee, you're a brother devotee. All the roles you play, the devotion does not swerve. It is unswerving devotion, commitment in all the roles, because you're playing the role for Ishvara. You're doing everything for Ishvara. In the 12th chapter, there is a refrain in many of the verses, Same bhakta me priyaha. Same bhakta me priyaha. He carries on saying this, which means that devotee is dear to me. What devotee? The one who lives the lifestyle where everywhere I am included in the picture. If I am brought in, Swamiji used to say, bring Ishvara into your life. Bring Ishvara into your life means everything. In everyone I meet is Ishvara. Everything I face is Ishvara. Where is Ishvara different? What manifests for me is Bhagavan only. So this is what it means to become devotee. Mad karma krit mad paramaha mad bhakta sangavarjitaha. Bhagavan says in the 11th chapter, Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yes samam eti pandava. So the one who does action for my sake, the one for whom I am paramount, I am number one in their lives. And those people who are also free from attachments, who relatively free, they have free space because their focus is Ishvara, not anything else. These people are, they come to me, they reach me. So bhakti is a practice in your life. And this bhakti means in another verse in the 9th chapter, because Gita is full of these practices for nothing like Bhagavad Gita. In 700 verses, if you master Bhagavad Gita, you've got all Upanishads, you've got everything, all the practices, everything needed for spiritual life actually. He says, Mam Bhaktyas Namasyantaha. Here he's talking about giving the will to Bhagavan, that free will that you have. You think you're in charge, you want to use it, but what do? Ahankara, very ahankara you offer to Bhagavan. When you offer the ahankara to Bhagavan, like Emperor Bali offered his head, you say, you do whatever you wish. Whatever is good for me, you manifest. I am not going to demand things from Ishvara. I'm not going to demand for changes. You know what is best for me. That is the devotee's real vision. So it's interesting, people think when you pray a lot, some people do pujas for hours in the day. They do a lot of puja, prayer, and all of this. And from externally, people feel, oh, very, very devoted, because our idea of devotion is this type of thing. But when the challenges come in life, what happens? There is a lot of resistance, even despite puja, prayer, all of that. So, real devotion, even if you do only lamp lighting a day, the real devotion is to be able to not resist Ishvara in the life. Whatever challenges come, I accept as prasadam. That is devotion, being a devotee. So, it's a very beautiful practice. I understand Bhagavan more and more that his grace is required either through Ishta karmas, through puja, prayer, I invoke his grace, or through Purta karmas, two ways of invoking Bhagavan's grace. Purta karmas are reaching out activities, charitable activities, so I can gain this grace from Bhagavan for my spiritual pursuit, for an obstacle-free, pursuit in life, by doing prayers, by spending time in charitable activities. So bhakti is where my main thing is my egoic self bows down before a higher altar. This egoic self says that something else in charge of my life. I am not the only one in charge of everything that is happening. So it's a very actually beautiful practice. And what does it give you? What does bhakti give you? It gives you a mind that is abiding. It gives you a mind that is peaceful. Like a child in the mother's arms, does the child ever worry? Mother can put it anywhere, even, it doesn't have any kind of doubt. Mother is always there. So it is like that child in Bhagwan's arms. I'm like that child in Bhagwan's arms. So there are four types of also devotees that Bhagwan talks about in the Gita. And I have, this four types of devotees also can be seen as growth into a certain type of devotee. So it doesn't have to be four types of devotees. It can be growing from Artha Bhakta, praying to Bhagwan only when I need something. I'm in distressed. There's some huge problem in my life. I'll only pray at that time. Rest of the time I'll be happy. I don't mind not doing puja or anything like that. Then I grow from the other next type of devotee is Artharthi. The people who want something from Bhagavan, exchange system. I will do something for you, you do something back for me. I will give you this lovely Shaligrama Mala, but you have to get my son married. So these are business devotees. So I grow from distressed devotee, I grow from the business devotee to what Vedanta is saying, to grow to Jignasu devotee, the devotee who wants to know Bhagavan. So that Karma Yogi is a Jignasu Bhakta, the one who wants to know the Lord, the one who wants to understand the Lord. So bhakti is a very beautiful practice. It is total relaxation in the order that is Ishvara. I'm totally relaxed. What is there to worry? There is nothing to worry, because I know whatever is happening as per his wish, as per his order. I won't even say wish, it is happening as per order. And when I live this life for a length of time, my raga, dvesha naturally get diluted. You can see how it becomes a practice for diluting the raga and dvesha, which is necessary for antav karna shuddhi. So it's all quite technical. This practice is for diluting this binding likes and dislikes, which disturb my mind, keep my mind always occupied, so I can develop a calm mind in order to discover Atma. So there is another verse in the 12th chapter, which is dedicated to bhakti, actually, very beautiful verses, which talk about the qualities also that a devotee should have. Mayeva adatsva, mana adatsva. There Bhagwan says, resolve your mind in me. Give your mind to me. What does that mean? Even emotions. That's why in the old movies, especially Tamil movies, some of the old movies, you see all the devotees running to the altar, right? In tears, any problem they have. Where do they run? To the psychotherapist? To the psychiatrist? No. You see them running straight to the altar in total distress. They will just cry, Bhagwan, and then he manifests or he does something. Some help will come, definitely. When the prayer is intense, see that intensity of prayer awakens Bhagwan's grace. The more the intense the prayer, because prayer is 100% free will involved action. So when you put 100% effort in something, definitely the result will come in some form or other. Because we have seen even Gajendra Moksha, after how much he was suffering with the crocodile. Because samsara crocodile, it's like caught his leg. Finally, what does he say? Intensely, he prays to Lord Vishnu to save. And Bhagavan comes, 11th hour, moksha. Right at the last minute, he gives him freedom from that crocodile. So we have these stories in our Puranas, in our books of devotees who have been saved at the last minute. Because the last minute, when you're totally desperate, if you see, when you're very desperate, what happens to the ego? It surrenders, right? So that is what Bhagavan is waiting for. We wait. Last moment, he's waiting. The ego still thinks it can do something. Can the ego do something? The ego still thinks it can do something. Finally, the ego gives up. I just ego lets go. No, you do it. Then Bhagavan comes into the picture. These are how the stories are depicted, but it is also an energy system that's working. Your ego is actually blocking that connection. So when you want Bhagavan to come, ego steps aside. Bhagavan, you have a free reign in my life. You do what you want. So my eva mana adatsva, my buddhim niveshaya. He says, put your buddhi in me as well. Put your intellect in me, which means do vichara, inquire into me, inquire into the truth. So, your intellect to me means do inquiry into the truth. And if you do this, nivashishyasi mayeva, you live here, you living in the Lord. You live in the Lord. Shankaracharya translate this as you shall enter into me in the form of myself. He says in his version. Nivashishyasi mayeva means you will enter into me in the form of myself. What does that mean? What is Bhagwan's form? Formless. His form is formless ultimately. You don't go in this form to Bhagwan. It is a formless form. So you will enter into me means the formless will unite. So sometimes this is depicted as merging actually. But there is no such thing as merging because it is already you are Bhagavan. That is Vedanta vision. It is not emerging, it's discovering that you are never separate. So our view of this is different to what we read sometimes in Bhakti literature. You merge with Bhagavan. You can only merge with something you're separate from, right? So the merging means the ignorance is removed and you recognize, my God, I was already Ishvara, I was already Bhagavan. There's no entering as such. It is only through knowledge one enters. So it's very, beautiful verses. So dridataram, that is, drida is a very strong word. It literally means strong. But even if you hear it in Sanskrit, dridataram, bhakti, have it firm. It should be unshaken. Even if you go through tremendous suffering, tremendous challenge, if you read the stories, life stories of saints and sages, were they immune to suffering? In fact, they suffered even more. Mirabai, you read, so many we have in our, even in this continent, but even saints and sages from all different parts who have a devotion to Ishvara in any form. They went through their karma, but how did they face their challenges? They faced cheerfully. So bhakti gives you that buoyancy in life. I would call it the life. It's a life jacket in life. So you don't sink in the waters. If you don't have that life jacket of bhakti, definitely we will sink in life. So keep that life jacket. And there's one verse I want to finish with because it's an important quality I'm spending some time on. I always include this verse as a living proof of devotion. How do I live my life? With what attitude I live? This is the verse from Shiva Manasa Puja. Shiva Manasa Puja is a puja done to Lord Shiva mentally. So people used to, when they could not do their puja in physical form, if you're traveling or something, you can do this puja mentally. All the steps are there in this puja. But in the fourth verse, again, Adi Shankaracharya's composition, he says, Atmatvam girijamati sahachara prana shariram griham. Atmatvam, oh Lord, you are myself. You are my very self. Girijamatis, Girijamatihi. Goddess Parvati is my intellect. She is Girijamatihi. Sahachara pranaha. All your attendants are the physiological functions taking place, the prana in my body. And Shariram Graham, this physical form, this body is your Graham, your home. You reside here. Pujate Vishayopabogarachana. Whatever I am taking in through my senses is puja unto you. All the Vishaya Bhoga, all the sense objects are puja to Bhagwan inside this Shariram. So it is, very beautiful to understand that ahara, when we talk about ahara, it is not food only in the mouth. This is also ahara, what I take in through my eyes, what I take in through my ears, what I take in through my mouth. All of this is ahara. And if Bhagavan is resident here and I'm doing it as a worship, what should I take in? Should I listen to all sorts of junk? No. I will be very careful what I take in. Do I watch all sorts of unpleasant things all the time? No. So if I understand this, I will live my life in a very alert manner. I offer only the best to Bhagwan. I don't need to put junk into this temple, right? If he is resident here in the form of the self, I don't throw junk in. So puja te vishayo pavoga rajana nidra samadhistitihi. Oh Lord, my sleep is when you are in samadhi. Nidra samadhi stitihi. Sanchara padayo pradakshina vidhihi. Sanchara, so my steps, whenever I'm moving around, all pradakshina of you. I'm doing pradakshina like we do in the temple, pradakshina. We do steps. I'm doing pradakshina for the Lord. Stotrani sarva giraha. All the words that come out, emanate from my mouth, are songs of praise for you, O Lord. They are stotras for you. Stotrani sarva giraha. Yadyan karma karomi tattadakhilam shambho tavaradana. Whatever karma, yat karma, whatever karma I do, karomi tattadakilam, all of that karma, shambho tavaradhanam, it is as dedication for you. It is offering to you, O Lord. So this is very, somebody asked here, apachitihi. Apachitihi is this, aradhana, apachitihi. Apachitihi means also worship. So he had used a different word here. Whatever work I do, it is worship for you. So it is living. Karma yoga, karma yoga is living bhakti. And you live your bhakti by dedicating everything to Bhagavan. Then he says in the next step, Shantyadif Parichiyatam. Parichiyatam is to collect. So get everything together. What are these things? Shantyadif. So here he's bringing in Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. These are the, Shama, Damadi, the Sadhana, Chatushtaya, Sampattihi. All of these things are included. Sixfold virtues. May you gain that qualification. So you can see how these steps slowly prepare. We're still in preparation mode. We have not got to Atma Jnanam yet. Still in the second verse, we're not reached. So that is how important the lifestyle becomes to match the vision. We cannot just, the vision will not stay if the lifestyle doesn't match. So Shama becomes very important. Dhamma becomes important. These are all resolving the patterns of the mind. So there's a lot of psychology also in Vedanta. Tremendous, psychological aspects that are discussed here. Rishis understood the mind long time back. Because if I'm not in good terms with my own psychology, with my own mental makeup, very difficult to discover absolute self. First, I have to, the relative self, I have to make okay, or I have to work on it a little. It is not absolute, so I work on it as much as I can. What does Shama? Shama means I discover emotional and psychological well-being. There are certain practices I do for discovering this. So meditation, mindfulness is an excellent tool. Mindfulness means being alert to your thoughts, being alert to your states of mind, because what happens is that we're sucked into the mind immediately. Right? We don't recognize there's a space between I and the thoughts. So whatever the thought says, I act out. Generally, we act out whatever thought says, I act out. So it is important to practice, have these practices, resolution of mind, resolving certain patterns of the mind. I have to make active effort. And sometimes I may even have to keep a journal, keep a diary where do I get triggered all the time? Because you'll notice certain patterns you get triggered by people. We're not even aware. We make the same error again and again, and I get into same conflict situations without, even becoming aware. So Shama actually requires you becoming aware of your thought patterns. It is not easy. People always say, oh, it's not easy. All of this is not easy. This is a disclaimer. Vedanta, we put in all book, this is not easy. It is not an easy path. But if you want permanent solution, this is the permanent path for the solution. So a lot of practices have to come in here. A lot of objective seeing of yourself, not self-condemningly, not saying I'm like this, I don't have this value. Oh, Bhagavan says in 13th chapter, you should have arjavam. I don't have this. So it is not seeing, condemning yourself. It is not loathing yourself. It is being objective with yourself. So Shamaha means internal discipline. I'm very careful. Damaha is external discipline. So, indriyartheshu vairagyam. So we've seen this as well. Externally also, I am aware of what things and people and situations can give me, and I don't go after things. I watch. If the mind is going after something, like, yada samharate chayam purmonga niva sarvashaha, like the turtle is able to withdraw under the shell at will, I am able to withdraw my senses. Every time the mind goes after the senses, in, with the raga, goes after, what do? I withdraw. No. So the practice is actually when it's something you really, this is a good thing to practice. See if you can do it. If the mind really goes after something, how can I practice Dhamma? You say no to the mind. So if it wants extra, rasmalai, I've had already 4 rasmalais, but I want the 5th one. Tongue is going after, mind is after the tongue. What do I say? No, not doing it. So you rein the mind back, and it requires willpower. So more you do, that's why we have fasting, we have tapas, all of these vratas and everything are for what? It's to practice Dhamma actually. At least every 2 weeks we have Ekadashi. So at least, on the 11th day we can practice some Dhamma. But it's very good for your own mind, for your own mastery of your mind to practice this. So this Shama Dhamma becomes important. We've seen also Uparama. Uparama is actually withdrawing, being able to also withdraw from activity, situations, find a place to be by yourself. It's very important you have time for yourself. Because when you're always with others, what happens? Your conscious mind is kept active. You don't have time to address unconscious. See, Vedanta requires you to uh, to face the unconscious issues also. So I have to allow them to come up a little. If I keep myself busy and entertained all the time in life, they don't come up. So sitting by oneself, they slowly start surfacing, and I have to face myself. And that requires tremendous guts and strength also. You need to have that. And that will slowly go by itself. Gaudapadacharya in Mandukya Upanishad calls it Kashayam. Sakashayam Vijaniyat. So look at that, be objective to it. It will come up, but let it go. As it comes, let it go. But once that is relatively clear, what happens? Then Vedanta can stay and bless. So it's all clearing actually. Half of this is clearing. So Uparama means find a time for yourself. If you can't find a quiet place like this, Manjakkudi is a beautiful place to just sit in nature, and you can meditate, you can do, be with yourself as well. If you can't find a quiet place in the places where you live, then find a quiet time. That's why Brahma Muhurtam is suggested, because most of Jagat is asleep between 3 and 6 in the morning, right? So I spend some quiet time when everybody's sleeping, just with myself, connecting to Lord and examining certain things, living alertly. So Uparama, Titiksha is also, Titiksha, somebody had asked, there is actually a Adi Shankaracharya brings that in another of the verses. So I'm going to address it there. But titiksha means the ability to stay unmoved with all the pairs of opposites in life. The ability to forbear the pairs of opposites in life. So titiksha, also a very important value to develop. And samadhanam, shraddha, of course, having the commitment. Swamiji used to say commitment pending discovery. So it's a commitment pending discovery. Use the Shastra, study and absorb whatever, discover for yourself. Nobody can promise you're going to get it. There's no promise like that, but you have to find out for yourself. So that is the commitment pending discovery, Shraddha. And the Samadhanam means the ability to focus in anything, any field. My mind should go where I want it to go, not I go where the mind wants to go, right? Right now, we're slave for the mind. Wherever the mind goes, I go. What Samadhana means, I make the mind go in a certain direction. I am the one who focuses the mind. Whatever I need, I'm able to absorb the mind in it. Samadhanam. Samadhi comes from that actually, samadhanam, the ability to focus. So we'll see a little more of this in tomorrow's session. This is all preparation. And slowly we go into vichara. So the first two verses are very important because they talk about, and the last line only he brings in Brahme Kaksharam Artyatam. So still it is asking here. And finally, the last step of the second verse is going into Shravanam. So imagine all of this is done in those days before Shravanam takes place. Shravanam requires a certain state of mind, a certain way of mind conducive for the Shravanam to be effective. Of course, these days we can do Shravanam along with preparing the mind adhikaritvam. It is not that nothing helps, nothing works. If we do this alongside, definitely things do stay. Definitely life is transformed even with little Vedanta. If there is even a little bit of adhikaritvam, life can change as well with Vedanta Shravanam. So the final three verses, he brings in more. The third verse, he will bring in more about the vichara, about the inquiry, and how to reduce this egoic sense of individuality. So some important things coming up, we will see tomorrow. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om